Well, good morning, guys, and welcome back to an absolutely gorgeous September day here in Queen Creek, Arizona. And it is about a year to the day since I installed a Furrion RV roof AC to replace the Carrier roof AC that had been up there originally on this 2005 Greyhawk from Jayco. And today, we're going to finally finish it. But I'll also be very happy to stop carrying around all this extra stuff. Now, before we start the repair, I think it's very important that I explain how we got here and why it's taken me a year to get this done. And then, because this is now a three-part series, I need to catch everybody up who hasn't been following along with me. Now, when I started this project over a year ago, the owners of the Jayco explained that the roof AC was no longer cooling properly. So this one is the Carrier RV roof AC. Very nice AC unit. Almost never had to fix a single one of them. But, ironically, this one was bad. Now, in that first video I did, I explained that Carrier RV roof ACs were so reliable, I never really had to fix one. And then when I got on the roof and took a look at it, we just discovered that it was basically falling apart. The plastic had failed. Plastic on this thing is completely cracking and falling apart. So I don't feel like this is worth saving, even if we got it working. Now, I reached out to the owner and explained that the roof AC was going to have to be replaced, and because it was a 20-year-old Carrier, the inside plenum was going to have to be replaced along with the thermostat, but also Carrier had wireless thermostats on it, so they were all remote control. So the inside plenum was going to have to be replaced, and I was going to have to run wiring to a thermostat, which we did. So basically, it was going to be a fresh installation of a whole AC unit. Now, we went with the Furrion unit, for a couple of reasons, not just because it was cool looking, but because from my experience at the time, both RVP Coleman AC units and Dometic units have had a lot of issues with fan motors going bad and the units failing fairly quickly. Not to mention that at the time, and of course currently, there's still a parts supply issue. So I was really just down to a Furrion AC or an Atwood AC, which is a Dometic product. And while the Atwood AC has been very reliable and very durable, and I've not had to fix a single one of those either, I'm also not a big fan of the thermostat that it comes with. And from what I had gathered at the time, the Furrion's been a very good unit, and it looks sleek, and was supposed to outperform even the Atwood. And more importantly, it was available. Now, the good news is the unit itself has been performing spectacularly well for the owners. There's no problem with this, and I don't need the ladder anymore. Now, they just went through one of the hottest Arizona summers on record, and the AC worked flawlessly for them. All right, well, maybe not flawlessly. All right, so there were problems, but not with the AC making cold air. It was with the control side, which is video number 2. That's when we discovered that the engineers at Furrion decided to put the thermistor that detects the temperature of the air inside the plenum here. Looks like these air filters could be cleaned a little bit. But it was mounted. This is the thermistor right there that detects temperature. It was mounted inside the air box up here. Even though I installed the AC correctly and sealed up the air box substantially better than the factory would ever do, when it would make cold air and it would dump out here, it would suck some cold air right back in there and say, oh, the air temperature is cold now. Because the thermostat right here does not detect temperature. It's detecting it up there. Make a workaround by extending the thermistor right here. And so then I had to re-troubleshoot my installation, and I came up with that workaround right there of repositioning the thermistor that was right about here over to here, so at least was sensing the outside temperature. Which worked okay for the time being, but of course, I wasn't paid to make it kind of work. I was paid to make it work. So in my research, I discovered there was 2 options I could go with. One was a new Furrion thermostat that had a thermistor built into the thermostat right there, but it would require a new thermostat and a new controller box. Or when I was working with Micro Air, they said, oh yeah, our thermostats will solve that problem. And that took us to the second video, and I tried to install that only to discover this does not bypass that thermistor. Micro Air still is using that thermistor right there. So I bought a thermostat, a smart, useful, and good thermostat, but didn't solve my problem. So I did reach out to Furrion, spoke with the director of technical support, I think, and explained the issue that I was having. and was informed of the part numbers I needed to get for the controller and the thermostat. And I made a video explaining this entire situation and also how difficult it was to get parts and how difficult Lippert was to work with. And I'd say it was a really good thing I made that video because I learned a dirty little secret about Furrion AC controls. Well, the new upgraded thermostat control from Furrion, from a number of my commenters on that video. They informed me that, yes, in fact, you do get a new controller box right here with its own thermistor, so that the new thermostat can sense the temperature of the AC unit. But it also still has a thermistor in here to detect the temperature of the air, because the new thermistor that's going to be on the thermostat in here is only to solve the problem with the furnace. And that's something I didn't even cover in the last video, explaining that this AC and thermostat combination still controls the propane furnace, which, like every RV furnace out there, runs off battery power and propane. And Furrion and Lippert were only forced to do this upgrade because everybody was complaining that the thermostat was not reading the correct temperature when they're running the furnace, because, as you can imagine, with the thermistor up in there, when you're running the furnace, the AC fan's not running because the furnace runs on 12 volt. So we just have this air box right here with basically the outside temperature of, let's say it's 46 degrees. The furnace is never drawing any air through this area, so this would never read the temperature of the air temperature because the air's not being drawn across it. It's stuck with outside temperature readings because the furnace does not run air through here. Its air exchanger is right here underneath the refrigerator. It draws the air across right there and then blows the heated air out the floor ductwork and into the bedroom here too. And so Lippert put the new controller and thermostat together to solve the problem of the furnace, but they still retain the thermistor inside the air box for the AC unit. So even this new upgraded thermostat and controller isn't solving the original problem. It only solves the furnace problem, which is apparently still an ongoing problem. And I can't believe Furrion and Lippert just haven't conceded and redesigned the entire system to work through the thermostat. I don't know why they had to reinvent the wheel. It's a very bad design. So in the last video I did, I ended basically being broken and sad and dejected, not knowing what to do. But on this Furrion setup, I can't recommend it at all. Didn't solve any of my problems, just created more problems for me. And I really wanted to sing its praises. Seriously, I want to throw up. And here we are, a year later from the initial installation, still trying to figure out how to make an AC unit cool properly using a wall-mounted thermostat in 2023. And while the owners of this RV have been incredibly kind and gracious and patient with me, they've even offered to switch out to a whole different system again. I'm not willing to give up or have them waste their kind of money on that. And this is what I think the final decision is going to be. Since the new Furrion thermostat's not going to solve my problem, and even this micro air thermostat's not going to solve my problem, I'm going to have to do what everybody in the comments basically told me to do all those months ago. And it was something I wanted to do, I just didn't have time, because as simple as it is to write in comments to just take the thermistor and then relocate the thermistor instead of right there over to the wall thermostat right there. If you guys remember when I installed this, I had to run the thermostat wiring, which I chose just to do flat 4 because I only needed 4 wires. And I'm quite confident that's why every HVAC technician that was watching it probably commented something along the lines of, that's why we run extra wires to a thermostat from the controller. But I was unaware that Furrion had such a horrible control design on 4 wires. So I knew that running just 2 more wires from this position all the way over to here was going to take the better part of a day, because I did a pretty good job sealing off all my holes with foam. Even when I drilled a hole through there, I sealed that up with foam. Even when I took this wall panel out and the ceiling right there, I sealed it off with foam. So I knew I was going to have to basically redo my entire wire installation. And I didn't want to do that, and I didn't have time to do that, so I was trying my best to figure out another way of doing this, and yet here I am, gonna have to do that. So now that I've updated everybody about why the decisions were made that were made, and why nothing seems to have worked with this horrible design from Furrion. I'm gonna go ahead and repair my installation for hopefully the last time. And while I know what some people are saying, they make conversion kits to allow the Furrion roof AC to work with Coleman wall thermostats. I hate the idea of mixing components unnecessarily, and the Coleman wall thermostat still needs to have power and ground here. So I would still have to take this wall apart again to run wires. And hopefully I'm letting everybody know about the problem so they're not spending the next year of their life trying to fix an obvious engineered problem. But it's not their fault. I do like to be done with a job the first time. Okay, so there's my foamed in ceiling. Pull that out. Take this light back down again. Hey look, there's my foamed in hole. Probably even made some sort of comment at the time with that first video. Never finishing up an installation until you test it all out so you don't have to tear it all apart again. But he's been a slow learner. I guess it's my own fault. It worked well. Alright, there's my wire. Alright, so I can pull on that. I got slack over here now. I can pull on that. Now the wire's coming out there. So that's half the work. Alright, just have to cut all my wires to the thermostat. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and use this to trace it. Well, not trace it, but to fish the wire. Using my existing harness right here. In my head it works. Rather than trying to fish another harness through there at the same time. And this is just a plastic insert for an awning fabric. You never know when they come useful. So now I can just pull on the harness here and pull it back through. Just like when I installed it. Like I said, in my mind, this has to work. Alright, so I have that and the end of it there. Now I have this harness right here. It's already a 2-strand 12-volt harness, I think for a satellite dish. It's already been wrapped and secured with the rubber insulation. Now I just have to tape this onto my 4-wire harness. That'll give me 6 wires to the thermostat from the AC now. If everything goes as I want it to. There it is. Now I can just start pulling over here and hopefully feeding it back through. That wasn't too difficult. Fish it back through there. I can grab the extra 2-wire harness that I put in. And it looks like I can make it to my connection point there. Now that harness right there, the white and brown, I already extended from the actual control logic board right in here, where the thermistor actually goes into the board. So I'll just be utilizing these wires right there that I've already extended. But of course, don't lose the thermistor because the controller is calibrated for the settings on this thermistor, which is just an adjustable resistor. It depends on the temperature outside. It changes the resistance value of it. And yes, I will agree with everybody. Wire does have a resistance value to it too, so it could be affecting the actual reading of the thermistor. I'm assuming that it'll only be 1 or 2 degrees because my wiring is going to be bigger than the existing tiny little wiring that was there. But I've explained that to the customer and I think they're going to be okay with it. But yes, it does affect the resistance value with the amount of wire that I'm running. Not a lot, but enough probably. Good thing about using this bigger wire here is that I can just use the Wago lever lock connectors to wire this back up. which are very handy connectors. I say that tongue-in-cheek because I can do this with one hand. And then because I don't think that it's polarity sensitive, but I will wire it up white to black, red to brown. So at this point is where we should have been with the last video, because we are going to still use this expensive touch thermostat for micro air, because it is Bluetooth connectivity and Wi-Fi connectivity, because the owners of this Jayco Greyhawk do have animals and they want to make sure that they can monitor the temperature inside the unit at all times and adjust it if they have their animals in it. And of course, I couldn't return an electrical item after I opened it and installed it. But since I already own this thermostat, I will have to modify it just a little bit in order to make this work. So this is the bottom of the thermostat. This is going to be the thermistor. I'm going to go ahead and use one of the openings down there to feed the thermistor itself out of, but it won't completely fit through. It's a little bit too big, I think. And because I can see through, I know I'm not going to drill into anything. All I have is my little unibit right here. I'm just going to widen that grill just a little bit. That right there. Very simple. Now check this out. I can feed it through just right there. And the wires come out the back. And now it just sticks out the bottom, reading the temperature of the room like a thermistor is supposed to do. At the wall thermostat. Alright, now I'll just do black to white like we had before. And red to brown. And now this thermistor has been relocated. From the controller up here, through this harness, through the ceiling, down the wall, right to there. Last video I showed how to wire up the micro air thermostat, so I don't have to do that again. Okay, so we got that wired up. Basically, disregard my wiring color, but it's still going to be purple to purple, green to green, red to red, and blue to blue. If you just match the wiring colors up to that point there. So we do have everything in control. So now if I turn the battery disconnect on, come over here, we're starting to load up. That's good. So it says that it is 96 degrees inside, which should be the temperature reading right there. So let's go ahead, fire up the generator. Alright. Got microwave on, so we have power inside here. Let's go ahead and come to the thermostat. Remember, there is an app, you can control it from your phone, but I already showed that in the last video and I don't need to show it again. So I have it in cool mode, fans in auto, and there's only one zone. Look at that. Set for 72 degrees. And it says it's 96 degrees right now. Alright, so the cold air is just blowing out right here because the plenum's not on. But I did have the thermistor right here. If I take the end of it, and it says we're 96 degrees right now. And then I just hold it in front of the cold air, just like that, and we come over here. See, the temperature's dropping down there. Yeah, it's already too cold. I bring it back in front, right where we want to measure the temperature. And look at that, we're creeping back up again. So we are successfully now reading the room temperature at the thermostat for both the furnace and the AC. I don't know why Furrion and Lippert couldn't figure out how to do that. This technology's only been around for about 150 years, I feel like. My next point is I have to put everything back together again. But I will show you guys real fast some screen capture of me controlling the thermostat here. It's difficult with only one camera, but I'll just go to the screen capture here. Okay, we go to the Greyhawk one, because I did already set this one before, so I can change the mode. So you have cool, gas, auto, dry, fan only, back to cool. And of course I can adjust the temperature at this point too from the screen. We're still reading 89 degrees inside. If I move that thermostat in front of the cold air again, we should be able to see it drop in here very short. There you go. Oh, look, I already set it off. That was very fast. Let me go ahead and warm it back up again. So that was kind of fun. That got cold pretty fast. Oh, look at that. 87 degrees. It's going to be turning on again very shortly. That's why we did this, so that we didn't have short cycling. And more importantly, like I said in the earlier video, the biggest problem a lot of people were suffering, because heat isn't a problem for everybody in the world, unlike me. When the furnace is running, the hot air is coming out of the floor down there, but it never got cycled around the thermistor up there. So even the new Furrion upgrade kit would have just had the thermistor located at the thermostat right here, only for the furnace mode. Had nothing to do with the AC mode. So it didn't really solve my problem anyways. Either way, if I was gonna keep using this Furrion system, I was gonna have to hack it, just like I did. All right, let me go ahead and lower the temperature some. It says it's 89 degrees, which does seem about right. It's actually starting to cool off here in September now, finally. Of course, don't forget, you can go to settings right there. You can schedule it. You can put it in auto mode. We can, let's see, go to next. Do the Wi-Fi network, so you can control this thermostat from anywhere in the country, as long as, or anywhere in the world, as long as you have Wi-Fi at the thermostat and at your phone. You can, ooh, look at that. We could change it to Celsius for the rest of the world. And only zone 1. So we got it firing back up again. It did have that time delay, so the thermostat isn't trying to turn the compressor on and off continuously because it was short cycling. But I think I'm very pleased, besides making a mess and having to do the job for countless times at this point, with how this is going to perform. Now I just have to put it back together again. So I'll just get this paneling put back together, get all my staples out of the way. And then maybe I'll regret doing it. But I really do think foaming up the holes with this Loctite minimal expanding foam right here will relieve some stress on the wires, seal off heat gain, and this Loctite foam does seem to set up a lot faster and more right in there. Just make sure you don't try to reuse that again, and keep it away from anything fabric inside once you're done with it. Don't ask me how I know that. It's not worth trying to save $7 on the cost of that. Just buy another one next time. But also, unlike the great stuff, as this stuff sets up, if you were to brush this, it doesn't deflate like the great stuff does. Now I'll just get this put back in its place. Staple that back together. But the AC's been running this whole time. It's still set for 66 degrees. It says it's 89 degrees inside. Hasn't turned off yet. Almost like this is the right temperature now. I mean, I do have a new fun tool. Should we try to play with that one real fast just to see how off that thermistor is now? Alright, it's a pretty good investment. I needed it other times. Forward looking infrared, let's try it. Alright, so 86, 87, 89. It says it is. Oh, look at that. Get my hands out of the way. 89 degrees. What does this say? You guys can't read it, but I can read it. It says 87. It's pretty good. We didn't change the readings that much at all, and I'm sure these things have a pretty How do I put it? I'm sure these things have a pretty decent tolerance to them. They might have 1 or 2 degrees off anyways from the factory. Let's see. It's kind of fun to play with this, isn't it? Let's see. My hand. Ooh, I left a handprint there. Alright, that's kind of fun. Pretty inexpensive. Link it up to your phone, turns your phone into a forward-looking infrared. There's the camera for it. I've had this for a while now. I enjoy every part of it. It's a lot of fun to play with. Alright, let me just get this thing put back together now, and we'll finish this up. Okay, now we just have to feed these wires back in there without losing this guy. Feed my thermistor through that little hole I made. Just like that. I think it looks pretty slick, like it's supposed to be there. I'll take a zip tie right here. I'm going to lock it down so that that harness can't fall off driving down the road and get lost in the wall. Just put it back on the wall now through its little mounts. Wow. A lot easier to read too. I can tell you the owner is going to be happy to have this one on here compared to this one. They had to get a little flashlight in order to read the screen because I guess it doesn't light up either. It's another one of those great designs, Furrion. But this is going to be very easy to see at night now too. And you can go to the settings screen right here and go to brightness, and you can do more or less brightness on there, and then the sleep number right there. After not touching it for a while, it'll go down to brightness number 1. Look at that, we're still 93 degrees inside because it's pretty hot outside. But the AC hasn't been short cycling, so I'm calling it a success. Might as well go ahead and clean out these filters. What I do is I rinse them off. Couldn't be easier. So why aren't you doing it? I'll put on these filters I just cleaned. Pop the little aluminum cover back on. Snap it into place. I still do like the appearance on the inside and the outside. I just can't figure out for the life of me why Furrion made such a strange decision when it comes to controlling that roof AC. Because remember, the AC unit itself I've never had a problem with. It hasn't leaked, it's cooled the entire time. It's just the control that hasn't been operating for me. So honestly, if I knew what I knew now, would I have gone with the Furrion from the get-go? I don't know, maybe I would have gone with the GE for all I know. But the Atwood is a good unit. Like I said, I don't really like the big thermostat that's on it. I did put a video out on the Atwood AC once before. Either way, I would have had to run a harness. On some people that already have a Coleman roof AC, you can just retrofit it with the Furrion unit on top, which is very quiet and sleek and good looking and reliable. And it can use your existing Coleman thermostat. There is that possibility too. I didn't have that option, and there was no chance of me reusing the 20-year-old Carrier controls. And of course, I still had to get a plenum to mount the AC with anyways, because the old Carrier plenum wouldn't have worked on the new AC, whether it was a Coleman, Dometic, or Furrion. Do I wish I would have known what I know now? I do wish I would have known that. This has maybe been one of the most expensive AC jobs I've ever done in my life. I'm pretty confident I lost at least $1,000 doing this job. All because Furrion, after 5 or 6 years of beta testing, still hasn't figured it out. The new micro air touch thermostat should work out very well for the new owners, and I think they're going to be pleased with that too. All things being equal, I think this technology should be incorporated into almost every thermostat at this point. I still have a lot of doubts about modern Coleman and Dometic ACs. The motors shouldn't be failing as much as they're failing recently. But hopefully this has been a pretty good rundown of the problems you might find or run into with a Furrion roof AC. I can really only hope that Furrion and Lippert decide to change the controls to make a lot more sense. But now we all know better. That's took me 3 videos to make this roof AC work, and that's way too much time. But thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope I answered all the questions that were in the comments in the last 2 videos. Try to get out there and enjoy this beautiful fall weather that's coming up before it gets too cold. Bye. Now, I won't say that when I was speaking to the director of technical support at Lippert that they were not very helpful. They were actually more concerned about who I was talking to on the phone and how they could make those workers, I guess, respond to my needs better. I didn't find that to be very useful, to blame the workers that were doing their job and doing their job very well. They helped me out substantially, and I had no problems with the people answering the phone, just with the design and the engineering of this system. And when I expressed that to the director of technical support and customer service, I think, at Lippert, they got quiet and didn't respond to me anymore. So chances are I won't ever be sponsored by Lippert or Furrion, which doesn't surprise me because I don't have a lot of nice things to say about them most of the time. The propane still even the new upgraded system. And I started out this and now I'm starting out the 3rd video trying to explain what I'm and I've only pulled half the RV apart, it feels like. Which is very easily, just like, can you guys see that? But just now, so I can give it a fair shake. And that is an absolutely beautiful morning on the Santan Mountain Preserve here. Wow.